Guys, the month of March is here, and I'm excited to talk to you about the lures that I'm going to be throwing in the month of March. Okay, guys, and it changes. So this year, the weather has been colder, all right? Real cold. And what I'm going to do in this video is just talk about two lures that are going to talk about targeting specific depths and areas, and they're going to be without live scope. Then I'm going to talk about two lures I'm going to use with the live scope, guys. So welcome to the Fishing Coach YouTube channel. Like I said, March is here, and this time last year we had a very warmer winter, and like we had fish on our lakes here in Arkansas, guys, that were on beds in that first week of March. I'm talking Lake Ouachita, Deep, Highland, Clearland Reservoir. That's not happening this year. And guys, so each year you have to change your top baits and on the type of fishing you're going to be doing or the areas you're going to be doing, guys. So before I talk about those the two baits for the non-live scope, fishing more that shallow traditional, and then with the live scope, guys, I'm going to let you know, guys, I'm right now at Futural Marine here in Nashville, Arkansas. Futural Marine has 4 stores across the state of Arkansas. They're right now your Icon exclusive dealer for Arkansas. And right now they're also, they sell the Express, one of the top aluminum boats out there. As you see, I got Express right here behind me. Got a showroom here for the Expresses, guys. So any information on the Expresses, click the link down there in the description. Also the Icon. I'm excited. I'm going to be hopefully in an Icon soon myself, guys. And so any questions, send me a question on my Facebook page. I've had a few of y'all ask, and I know a few of y'all are excited to ride me at the Icons. Let's talk about the baits. So the first two baits I'm going to talk about. Well, what I'm going to talk about, and this is a bait I love, and it's a lipless crankbait. This right here is the Booyah One Knocker, okay? It's the one I have on right now. It's the 3/4 ounce size. And the thing about the One Knocker, okay, it has that different knocking sound. So typically for me, March is when I would like that different knocking sound as you guys hear, because of the pressure they get. Now, right now, with it being really, really cold, there was a good crankbait grass bite on our lakes, but this is also a good lure when you're fishing rock and you're fishing. I love fishing these in the transition areas. One thing I will say about the size, I've learned with some of my lakes here in the Hot Springs area, the bigger one does a good job of getting the better quality bites. And on our lakes, a bigger bite's 4 to 5 pounds. You can catch giants with this. But you're going to be getting more of those. But when you're down in Texas, Rayburn, other places there, that might be an 8 to 9 pound bite. I like the 1/2 ounce size when I'm fishing more in the river sections. Okay, so like for Ouachita, for example, you have your river arms. I like more of the 1/2 ounce size there. Fishing against rock transitions, your rounded points. Lake de Grey's another place, guys. And if you see back there behind me, that's my 3-year-old. He's hanging out right now on the boat. Say hi, James. Yeah, he's smiling. So, but guys, now on colors. Okay, colors. This right here, forgot the name of this color in the Booyah. It's called Royal Red and Strike King. There's a couple other different colors with it. It's just one of those kind of colors, man, I have a lot of confidence in, and the hat's been out of the bag. But the traditional reds work. There's your orange and white. There's a bunch of different types of colors with it as well. So, guys, what I'm going to be doing with it, I have grass and rock in my lakes and wood. I'm not afraid to throw this around wood, and I'm not afraid to throw it, and you're going to get hung up at times, but I'm not afraid. But right now, going into March, we're about to have a warm spell coming up. It's cold. We're about to have a warm spell. Them fish are going to be, they're already fish in grass, that we've had some fish move in the grass, but they're going to get out of there. And deflecting this off the wood, deflecting this off the grass is a good way to get them reaction strikes, okay? So one thing about it, too, fishing the grass and talking about it, you got to try to figure out that the inside edge or outside edge. And so that's one thing with this bigger one. You can target them fish on that outside edge. Now, right now, we also have higher water than normal. The lakes are 1 foot high to 2 foot high, and that's a lot of extra water that's on the grass. So this bigger one gets down there. I'm throwing it on 12-pound fluorocarbon, okay? This is the Xing Goro fluorocarbon, information down there below. It's a level 7.3. This is 7.3 medium moderate. I know I've thrown on 7.2 rods, 7-foot rods, 7.4, 7.3 is kind of like that happy medium for me, guys. Now, hey, let's get into the next bait. Okay, guys, now the next one, and it's one bait that I've fished a lot with, had a lot of really good days with. Last year, I did not get to throw it as much due to my on-the-water lessons, and everybody wants to learn the Minnow. But this year, I'm going to have it with me for my on-the-water lessons and some of my guide trips, because I want to get back on this bite. And this bite can happen March through May, May to June. In May to June, there's a special time for it I'll talk about later. But guys, it's a jig, but I'm going to be swimming a jig. So this right here is the Core Tackle swim jig. It's their new swim jig. It's been out since last year, the Classic. This is a 3/8 ounce size, okay? Now, what I used to do is throw them half and 3/4 football jigs. I would drag them through the grass, but I also would reel it in the grass, okay? And that bite was always a thing, and it's something the older anglers with a lot of experience figured out, and I never really had no one that taught me. I always heard about it, and it's something we kind of figured out. There's some videos on Fish the Moment, me and Johnny doing it, and I did it a couple other times with friends, but we did it with football jigs. But now, now this is something I share. I know I talked about that forward facing. I'm gonna let forward facing let me use this to swim a jig on that grass line, and I'm going, this is a 3/8 ounce, but I'm even gonna go with a quarter. I'm gonna go with those lighter ones to keep it above that grass, and since I can see what forward facing. Now, once again, you don't got to do forward facing with it. There might be times I'm in another person's boat, guys, coming up, and if we have spot lock and it's windy, I'm gonna spot lock, I'm gonna throw that thing up there and fish it traditionally on this edge. Now, one thing you see with this swim jig, though, is I have a freeloader on, okay? We always did the big grubs. We did craw trailers. I always did the craw trailers, but I'm going to be doing it with this freeloader. I know one thing last year I was doing at times in April was having a swing head with a freeloader on and dragging it off the points, reeling it on the bottom like the old biffle bug, and that freeloader, something about that on that swing head triggered some bites, and it's just something different that the fish haven't seen. So for me, my second lure in that category of kind of non-forward facing, more shallow, is the swim jig, and you can fish this swim jig anywhere. Guys, I know, like, if it's a shallower, muddier lake, okay, this swim jig's great for the back of pockets, around those lily pad stems, around your wood, around your grass. I know for me, I used to love swimming the jig on one of my lowland reservoirs down here in southwest Arkansas, where Futural Marine is at, and but I'm going to be fishing it more in them clear lakes and still docks. I mean, there's just so much different things you can fish with that swim jig. That water temps get up towards the 60s, the 50s range. You have a lot of pre-spawn fish, and they're still kind of fiery. They're still real active eating before they get in that spawning mode. So a swim jig is what I'm going to be throwing. I'm throwing this on the level, guys, 7.2 medium heavy fast. I thought this was a 7.3. That's why I looked at it. My 7.3 actually has a bigger jig on it right now, because I did a bunch of jig fishing the other day, and I'm throwing on 12-pound testing line. I'm throwing on a light line. Okay, guys. If I was fishing it more, I could throw this thing on 15, 16-pound test. I mean, you can. But now, guys, let's get into the forward-facing baits. Okay, guys, the first one for the forward facing, and you can still throw these baits without forward facing. But this bait last year we had pretty good success with March into April on my lakes. And lately, before we had this crazy cold spell come through, it was starting to catch fish for me. And there's a lot of guys that throw this a lot in the winter, but if you've been on the water lessons with me, I wasn't throwing this much in the fall. I was throwing another bait more in the fall. This one wasn't doing as good, but lately it has, and it's an Alabama rig, okay? This is the Black's Custom Lure Widowmaker. I right now have it rigged with the 6-inch Divine swim baits. I throw a lot of swim baits though. Like I'm not stuck to one brand. I throw the Kitex. I know the 6-inch ones. I just went blank on some of the other ones I throw. I just went blank. I really did. It's all in my truck right now. I got bags and bags of them. This right now though has different heads with it. I will say that. One thing about the Blacks, I throw the Flash Mob too, the Young Flash Mob. But one thing about the Blacks is it has its design where it's more. It's a cross, not the kind of X. It's a cross. And so one thing I like about it is it does good going through cover, going through wood, going around brush, because since like when you're going through brush and this one's right here on the bottom, it hits it, okay? And instead of having 5 where you have 2 and going through stumps, I've just learned that with this, and going through lily pad stems, as I've talked about in the video last year. I love throwing these things in shallower areas, my shallow lake guys, with lily pad stems, okay? But what I'm going to be doing on my lakes is going to be fishing them on that outside grass line or inside grass line, depending where they're set up at. I will throw this in wood, over brush piles is something I know we all can do. One thing though I'll say for my Tennessee River guys is I saw in one of the recent events, man, the Alabama rig came through, and there were guys that couldn't catch them on a minnow. They were catching them on the Alabama rig, something with a current, and at times, they went 5 over 1, and that's one thing you kind of have to determine with the winter when you're doing the forward facing with the jerk bait, this and all that is kind of determine that bait they want. And there were days last year, weeks, where they wanted this over a minnow. And so that's one thing that I want to have it out and ready, because if I'm throwing that minnow enough and they're not eating it, I'm going to find out if they want this. And there's times when if they want this, throw it. Why not? Now, depending where you're at in the country, follow your laws. Some can use 3, some can use 2, 4. I don't know all the laws, but I know 3 is a big one. But for here in Arkansas, we can use 5 or more. And so, I mean, there's times I might have more, okay? I'm throwing on a 7/8 heavy fast. More people are getting on the bigger, longer rods. I like the longer rod to get a better cast. And if you start doubling up, You have 2 or 3 on, you know. I mean, I talked to a guy the other day that had 2 4-pounders on, and yeah, that we have 2 4-pounders on, this thing gets heavy, okay? And so so I'll leave that. You can get this at Tackle Warehouse, guys. That, you know, my Arkansas guys know to watch. It's a pretty popular A-rig. And there's times, like I said, they want one A-rig over the other. Now, bait number 2, okay, and if you guys know, I mean, yeah, I'm throwing this thing year-round now. I've been throwing it year-round for for 2 years now. It's the Minnow. So now this is the Baby Z2 on a queen tackle head. Okay, now this is a 1/2 ounce head. I'm going to be starting to go to my lighter heads. If you fish with me on my lessons, like right now I got 4 minnows rigged up with different heads, 3/16, quarter, 3/8, half. This is the Strike King Baby Z2. I even have different minnows, but I'm going to be starting to have more of those lighter, I mean, I've been throwing the lighter minnows, but ready for those fish that are more shallower in staging areas. I'm going to keep this one on for my deeper fish that are on points, that are in drains, and you can fish this over brush or rock, you know, I mean, you can fish this anywhere. So I'm going to have this guy ready. But like I said, for me, this has became a year-round bait. Okay, there are times they like it better than others, and you kind of have to read the fish in the day. And that's just, you know, there. I have white on. I'm going to start going to more of my shad patterns as we get into the spring. But when I'm fishing for them fish real deep, white just seems to be a good color. I'm throwing this on the level 7.1 NGX, medium light, okay? And I have this as a 12-pound fluorocarbon Zing, the Zing Goro leader. I'm throwing the Zing line as well. I've been throwing 10-pound and 15-pound braid on it. The braid line, all that's down there as well. But guys, appreciate you. Let me know your baits for month of March. And if you like this type of video, okay guys, appreciate you once again reaching out. Let's go to the... Welcome everybody to the Faith Juice part of the episode. Thank you for joining in. I appreciate all the comments I've been getting from you guys on the Faith Juice part. All the encouraging words really means a lot, and just helps me continue to know to do this. And you guys I've shared before. I got challenged to do this, and we went for it. And it's been a joy. It's been a blessing. How about that? Blessing's the word. It's been a blessing for me and for fellow people listening. So guys, I'm still in James, the James 5:13, and this is a whole section on prayer. And it says, "Is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. Is anyone cheerful? Let him sing praise. Is anyone among you sick? Let him call for elders of the church, and let them pray over them. And then the prayers of faith will save the one who is sick, and the Lord will raise him up. And if he's committed sins, he will be forgiven. Therefore, confess your sins to one another and pray for one another, that you may be healed. The prayer of a righteous person has great power, as it is working." Guys, so we talked about prayer before. I've talked about prayer. You've heard on prayer, but prayer is not always, I would say, just something you can do once a day. Something you can do many times a day. Some people will pray every hour. I remember hearing that as a challenge of setting your phone as an alarm when you're up and praying every hour, and then having topics of prayer, not just always asking but thankful, and so prayer is important. And then, as it even here said, if you've committed sins, pray for one another. Well, you got to confess, as it says, confess your sins. So, like I said, just a part here of the Faith Juice is prayer, how important it is, how it's part of our worship, how it's part of our communication to the Lord. And I know one thing with me at times, it's hard. I mean, it's hard to do. We do it, but it's hard because we cop in life and stuff. And but it's praying with your family. Now, we'll pray at like dinner, breakfast, but like just stopping and praying. So that's one thing I've been trying to work with the kids. It's just, you know, if we're just driving a truck and before we go into speech or go in to eat, you know, it's pray right here. So something for you guys maybe to work on as well. Share me any thoughts or what you might do for your prayer time. Guys, thank you for watching today's video. Appreciate your words, and we will see you on the next one.